Good morning, everyone. This is Michelle Shaw from Minneapolis Edible Boulevards, and we are here with Kelly Shay, and we are going to be cooking an amazing dish, cauliflower wings with buffalo sauce. And we will get going with that in just a minute. But before we do that, we always start with a land acknowledgement. Here in Minneapolis, where I am, we are on Dakota land. We want to be sure to honor our ancestors who have been stewards of the land here, and be sure to also here in the state of Minnesota, we have the Ojibwe and Dakota ancestors who have been stewards of the land. Um, and also, in a separate acknowledgement, we usually do a labor acknowledgement as well. Some people don't know that the state of Minnesota did have legal slavery for a time. And so um, we want to make sure that we acknowledge the fact that we have people who are going through a lot of historical trauma as a result of that slavery that happened, all of the just the history of our enslaved people and our neighbors that still suffer as a result of the impacts of that. So please support our neighbors, support the businesses that are owned by our Black, Indigenous, and people of color neighbors. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. So, my name is again Michelle Shaw. We just had Jade join us. Welcome, Jade. We're just getting started. I have an initiative called Minneapolis Edible Boulevards. And what we do is we teach people how to grow food safely on their boulevards. Right now, actually, just in the midst of planting a native edible boulevard. So we're going to be putting in native pollinator plants that are edible. So that's my project right now. And today I'm hoping we're going to be finishing it. So then I'll have some seeds to share from that. It's right next to my edible boulevard. So I'm really, really excited about that. Um, and then we also have cooking classes, which is why we're here today. And we make sure that they are free to everyone. And it's really intended to be an extension of our garden program because a lot of the people who live in our green zone neighborhoods are neighborhoods that have the worst health disparities and the worst environmental injustices. A lot of the people who live there have not had access to fresh produce and don't know how to cook with it. And so we want to make sure that we offer classes to teach how to cook with fresh produce. So that's why we are here. And I am going to introduce Kelly because Kelly and I met a few years ago at an event in North Minneapolis. And we just hit it off. We had one of our first cooking classes with Edible Boulevards with Kelly, and Kelly's been with us ever since. Kelly has Harmonious World and Wellness and does a bunch of events there. And I'm going to let Kelly tell us more about what you're doing there and maybe give an update on the school that you have going on as well. So, yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Kelly and then we're going to get cooking. So,
Yes.
Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me again, Michelle. It's always an honor and just exciting to continue this collaboration and partnership and supporting the initiative that I is very much aligned with the work that I do here in community. So as Michelle said, I'm Kelly Shay, and I am very passionate about growing your own food, food accessibility, food sovereignty, organic eating, plant-based cooking. That has been a part of my lifestyle for a long time. And I do run a couple different businesses here in the Twin Cities. I live in Brooklyn Park. I'm from St. Paul. I'm a mom of three daughters. And I am an entrepreneur. And so my business is Harmonious World and Harmonious Wellness. Through my Harmonious World branch, I, since for the last 5 years, have been doing events as an entrepreneur that bring together wellness and art, entertainment and wellness. So really working with a lot of artists and healers and community here, entertainers, and bringing these very empowering and unique experiences to community in person and online. I had my first retreats this past fall, about a month ago now, which was just a wonderful experience. So that's been in the works for a long time. It was wonderful to hold space in that way at a beautiful property about an hour outside of the cities. And then through my Harmonious Wellness branch of work, which I run my business out of North Minneapolis at in a building in a space called Zara Integrative Root Center with an array of other amazing Black women, holistic wellness practitioners, entrepreneurs. And so I'm a certified regenerative health practitioner. I do body work. I teach yoga, meditation, massage, and I continue to do events. And so a part of the regenerative health work that I do, that is really woven into kind of these classes and some of the education and little tidbits of wisdom that you'll receive. But it's really a cellular approach to healing. I work with clients and support people through detoxification, bringing more nourishment into the body, and also using herbalism, meal planning. I use a practice called iridology as a window into the tissue and gland state by looking at the iris. So I'm really able to tailor and support people on what's going on in their body, whether they have an ailment or a diagnosis or a goal to lose weight, want to get off medication, that sort of thing. So really taking a holistic approach using whole foods is a big part of that work. So I love partnering again with Minneapolis Edible Boulevards. I have a garden of my own out back. I just had a really abundant harvest earlier this week, so that was a lot of fun. And I love plant-based cooking. And so this is great because we are cooking using produce from our garden, really simple ingredients and pretty easy to follow recipes. So I think that's all I want to say about myself, because for time's sake, let's just get started. So we are, as Michelle said, we're making buffalo cauliflower. I already have my cauliflower chopped up. Now, if you have not already, now Jade, I don't know if you're cooking along with us, but you'll want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 450 if you haven't done that already. Are you watching, or are you cooking with us, Jade? Watching. Okay, cool. Watch away. And then this recording will be available for you afterwards, so you can cook along on your own time, but also you'll have access to the actual recipe yourself. And they're pretty straightforward. I might mention a couple little other things you might want to take note of as we're going through the recipe and the steps. So with that, any questions before we dive in and begin this process? No? Okay. So like I mentioned, I'm pulling up the recipe here too. You're going to want to preheat the oven to 450. Another thing that you want to get already prepped is just to have your tray with parchment paper. I have that ready. I have my tongs ready because we're going to be doing some flipping of the cauliflower once it's actually on the tray. I'll actually just set that right there for now. And so as far as the cauliflower, so that's kind of the first couple things with this recipe. Preheat the oven to 450. Get your baking tray and parchment paper out. Also a small saucepan. The small saucepan is what we'll make the buffalo sauce in. So I have that ready and on the stove. We'll make that over there. I'll move the camera over to the stove area where we can watch along while we do that. Now, as far as the cauliflower, the pieces are up to you as far as like what size you want to make the pieces. I'm gonna tilt you a little bit here now. I like big heads, but you can also do little small ones. So this is kind of a spin-off of, for those that are meat eaters, chicken wings. But a lot of times in plant-based restaurants, you'll see cauliflower wings. And so this is like a non-soy alternative, you know, versus using like a mock meat or soy or gluten or something. You can use cauliflower to make these wings. And there's a lot of different ways you can make them. There's a lot of recipes online. Some use panko crumbs or bread crumbs. That's the first time I did this recipe, we used that. And I like to do more of a heart-friendly version, heart-healthy version. So we're baking versus frying. So some people will fry them. Some people will use an air fryer, but we're going to be baking, and the flour we're using in the process that we're going through, you'll still have kind of a nice crispy texture. So Michelle, you already chopped up your cauliflower, so you're like ready to go.
Yes, and I just wanted to welcome Daryl and Linda from Brookings,
Oh.
South Dakota.
Hi, Daryl and Linda. It's nice to see you again. Such great
I know
support.
they're not cooking.
Hi, thanks. We just got back from the parade, so
Oh, fun.
we're ready to watch.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for joining us.
So we have the bowl of cauliflower. I have the piece sizes that I would like. And now we're going to start mixing the dry ingredients. And so I'm going to put this off to the side, and I am going to tilt my camera a little bit so you won't see my face, but you can see me going along throughout the process. So I have a bowl here. This is my small mixing bowl, and this is where we're going to start to use the dry ingredients. The first thing that we're going to want to put in here is the flour. Now, this recipe is gluten-free. If you're not gluten-free and you want gluten, it's all good. Use a flour of your choice. I really like chickpea flour. It's very clean. It's very simple. I love the flavor. Sometimes I'll even use like gluten-free, like almond flour. But chickpea has been a favorite of mine for a long time. You can use spelt. There's so many different types of options. So the first thing we're going to put into this bowl is a half a cup of your flour of choice. So I have this cup ready. This is a half cup. Let me double check. We're going to go ahead and put that in, flatten it out, and put it into the bowl.
Sorry, what was that? Half cup?
Half cup of your flour of choice. Yes.
Okay. And I've got almond.
Okay. Yeah, almond. Great. That's wonderful. And then if you don't have your dry seasonings out, you want to grab that, but we're going to have garlic powder. Now, I'm very big on eating organic as much as possible. So pesticide free, chemical free. So even my seasonings are organic. So I have garlic powder. We're going to have onion powder, paprika, and sea salts or Himalayan salt, black pepper, and cumin and cayenne. I think those are, so we have 6 different seasonings here that we're going to use. And so the first seasoning we're going to use is the garlic powder, and we're going to put 1 teaspoon of garlic powder in our bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I just like to take the whole thing off. So 1 teaspoon garlic powder. Let me do a check of the camera. You guys can still see me okay. Now, for garlic lovers, which is me, so you can have as much garlic as you want. If you want to have a little bit more, that's fine. I also had wanted to mention that if you really love garlic and you want fresh garlic in this recipe, when we're making the buffalo sauce, or if you're not doing a buffalo sauce, we're making a sauce of your choice, you can mince garlic and put that in the pan and kind of have that fresh garlic on top. That would be something to experiment with. But for the sake of following along with the recipe that's been created here, we're using powdered garlic. 1 teaspoon. And then we're also going to use 1 teaspoon of onion powder next. So we're going to put that into the bowl. After that.
Okay, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm having the problem where I discovered that both of my powders are in chunks, and they're not that old. So I'm trying to mash them up. Is there a way that I can get them to mash up once they're in the liquids?
So they're not gonna go, once we put the almond milk in here, we are gonna use mixing spoon to like stir it up, so it might soften it a little bit, but you might also then want to use a fork and it'll loosen a little bit more with like a fork. So that's what I
Or a
would use.
whisk or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is the batter that we're creating. And so you do want to get it as smooth as possible. And if it's a little chunky, if there's a little chunk of garlic or onion powder, I mean, I think that's okay. You could blitz the spice in a blender. That was the other thing I was gonna say. Yeah. You just put it in a blender real quick. 'Cause
Okay.
that does tend to happen.
Okay. I'm not used to having bad ingredients. So, all right, continue on. That's my only issue. Thank you.
Okay. Great, making sure I'm checking the chat too. All right, so now we have our paprika, and we're gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. So let me come back down here. So I have my half paprika, just for a nice smoky flavor. Actually, that was a quarter. I used the wrong one, but that's okay. I'll put a little bit more. I love paprika. And I always say this too with my style of cooking. I don't always use measurements. I'm very much an intuitive chef, cook. So you can tweak and play with what, you like. If you know the flavors, the seasonings, just experiment with, creativity. All right, so let me go back here to the recipe. And then after the paprika, we have cumin. So ground cumin is a half teaspoon. Get that in here. Again, I do a little bit of keeping. I like a little bit more flavor. And then for sea salt of your choice, sea salt is a half a teaspoon. And the one thing that I'll say about salt, I don't recommend using like your general kind of generic like table salt. I like a really high quality table salt. Himalayan is okay, but I do lean towards sea salt, and I lean towards a mineral salt. This Baja Gold is really, really great, and it does have the natural iodine in it. And iodine, you don't want to go overboard with iodine, but iodine is actually beneficial to our body. It's a mineral that we need, and especially for thyroid support. So thyroid, we have this gland here in our in the front of our throat. And thyroid is really known for helping with metabolism and body temperature regulation. So if someone has a hypoactive thyroid, which is actually pretty common, especially in women right now, I'm hearing more of hypothyroidism under active thyroid. Taking a teaspoon of like Celtic sea salt or this Baja Gold mineral sea salt is actually really, really beneficial. Just to get those minerals in. Sea moss is also great for the thyroid. That is full of so many minerals, but sea salt or Baja Gold mineral salt is actually really good too. So that is what I'm working with here. And so
Kelly,
sea salt, yes.
sorry, I was going to interrupt. Have you heard about the concern with plastics now getting into sea salt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have. And there's a Celtic sea salt company that I was using for a while. And amongst us regenerative health practitioners, we were using that and recommending it to our clients that had like a hypoactive thyroid. And we heard that that line wasn't as clean as it should be. And then I heard better things about the Baja Gold being a cleaner source of this mineral sea salt. So I haven't personally tested. I really can't really speak to like, their whole process and how clean it is, but I personally feel better using the Baja Gold one versus like the Celtic sea salt, which you'll see more commonly like at the co-op, your health food stores, the grocery store. I just got this off Amazon. I don't think they carry this locally. Maybe they do somewhere, but I go online now to get my sea salt because I just think it's a cleaner line. But
okay.
yeah,
it was news to me when I found out about it. I was like, what? So
yeah, it's really unfortunate. We live on this planet Earth where a lot of things are contaminated and we can't avoid, the chemicals that exist in the air, water, soil. So that's again why I am a big advocate of detoxification and cleaning out like heavy metals and parasites and really kind of recharging the cells and bringing in more nourishment, nutrients and
And we can
nourishment.
encourage people to stop using plastic.
And we can
Companies.
absolutely 100%. So the half teaspoon of sea salt, a quarter teaspoon of black pepper is going to be next. And so a quarter teaspoon of black pepper and a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Those two are going to be the last ones before we add our milk. So I have my black pepper, quarter of that, and then the cayenne. Now, if you are not a spices nice type of person, then you can completely omit the cayenne. So cayenne is being used here in, this is what the dry ingredients look like as of right now. And I'm just gonna grab a fork and mix it really well before I put in the plant-based milk.
So Kelly, I'm sorry, I got behind chopping up my onion powder. But with the cumin, can you tell me how much of that and then the paprika?
Yep, so 1.5 teaspoons of paprika.
Okay.
And then cumin is half teaspoon of cumin.
Okay, great. Thank you. 1.5 and half.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Thanks.
Mix it really good for sure. But yeah, so if you're not, like I said, not a spicy person, don't like the spices nice, omit the cayenne pepper altogether. It is here in the recipe in the batter, and then it's also going to be used when we make the sauce. But you don't have to use it at all. And this is why, if you're not a fan of buffalo sauce, which is has more on the spicy side, I don't think this recipe is very spicy at all. It's got a little kick, but it's not super spicy. But you can omit it from the sauce. Especially if you're not going to be using the tomato paste, which is the base of a buffalo sauce, and you want to use barbecue sauce or an Asian flavor. You can use all of the ingredients we'll use for the sauce, but omit the paste and the cayenne. Unless you want spice. All right, so that feels good and mixed to me. My dry ingredients, I don't see any more seasonings. It's just a dry batter. It looks just like flour. And now I'm going to add my plant-based milk. And the thing about chickpea flour too, I'll say, is like, this is a protein rich recipe. I mean, cauliflower in itself has protein in it. And there's a big myth that, like, we need protein, we got to get our protein. Sure, yes, we need amino acids, which amino acids are actually the building blocks of protein. So we need amino acids. That's amino acids. The protein are chains of amino acids, and amino acids directly come from plants. So when we're eating meat, we actually are getting secondhand protein. So if we really want the amino acids, we want the protein in our diet, the direct source is actually through plants and beans and legumes, chickpeas, garbanzo beans being one of them. So that's another reason why I like chickpea flour, is it is a nice source of protein, as well as just, I think the flavor is delicious. And same goes with like our plant-based milk. You can use any plant-based milk you like. I switch it up. I love coconut milk. I do like almond milk occasionally as well, but coconut is usually kind of what I use. And then also hemp milk. Oat milk, if you're not gluten sensitive, oat milk is like more creamy, which a lot of people like that for like, if you're getting a tea or a chai or something at a cafe and you want plant-based milk alternative, oat milk is typically, people would choose that because it just has that creamy consistency similar to dairy milk. Today I'm using hemp milk. Hemp milk, excellent source of protein, but also a really, really great source of omega-3s. So we're getting those essential fatty acids that are really supportive to brain health and our nervous system as well. So I'm using that. And what we'll put for milk is 3/4 cup. I believe I'm remembering that correctly. Let me double check. Yep, 3/4 cup plant-based milk. Mix it into the dry ingredients. And then we're going to just whisk it all together and it'll be nice and thick to prepare the batter. The next step after we mix it up is we're going to actually pour the batter into the bowl of cauliflower and get a little messy. Let me grab my whisk and we'll get this going. And so any questions so far? No, we're good. Okay. So I do like to share some nutritional benefits of the food that we're using as we prepare. That's important to me. And so, like I mentioned, cauliflower does actually have protein in it. All vegetables do. Now, it might not be, you know, a huge amount of protein. We don't need a huge amount of protein. No one is protein deficient. I think that's kind of the final thought I was going with that protein rant earlier or share earlier. But there is protein in cauliflower. You know, it's got a great source of vitamins, vitamin like C and K, and the B vitamins are really high in cauliflower. And then we have our minerals. Potassium, manganese, phosphorus. There's even zinc and calcium in cauliflower. And, you know, there is some controversy with cauliflower. I think, you know, because when I support people through detoxification, you know, wearing my regenerative health lens, I do lean and encourage people to eat on the more alkaline side of chemistry. So really thinking about the pH of the food, and does it leave an alkaline ash? Does it leave an acidic ash in our body once it's digested? And so because I've studied, you know, alkaline foods and alkaline eating, and Dr. Sabi, Dr. Robert Morris is someone that I really love, and I use his course book in my training. But Dr. Sabi, more people are kind of familiar with that name. I think he was like anti-cauliflower because he thought it wasn't natural. And so there is some controversy in some schools of thought, but everything in moderation. There's nutritional value. I don't believe it's harmful. I wouldn't eat it every single day, but again, I don't believe it's harmful at all. It's delicious, and it's a great plant-based alternative to wings. Okay,
What is the controversy? Sorry, I missed that part.
I think in the Dr. Sabi kind of world, it says it's I don't know if it's used as genetically modified, but that it's not natural, that there was some science behind the creation of even cauliflower itself, that it isn't like a native vegetable. That's what I've heard. So there are some people that don't want to eat it. He always said, don't eat cauliflower. I think maybe broccoli was okay, but don't eat cauliflower.
Okay.
I don't follow that, and maybe I shouldn't even open that can of worms, but I'm educating that there's nutritional value. It's delicious. It's not harmful. I don't follow that strict, you know, belief that, you know, we can't eat it. I love all vegetables. I am pro all vegetables, especially if I've grown it myself. I'm supporting local farmers, local cooperatives. I know that it's organic, it's pesticide, chemical free. And I feel consciously aligned with that vegetable and the process of that it went through to get into my hands and on my table. So that's my lens and mindset when it comes to this particular vegetable and all vegetables.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I have my batter. It's like creamy and great. And so this is a fun little messy part. I'm going to tilt the camera again because we're essentially just going to pour the batter over the cauliflower. Now I just use my hands to you want to make sure that you really coat the cauliflower entirely well. So let me tilt my camera. You guys can watch me do that. And I have this, and I'm going to pour it all the way in. Clear out the bowl as much as I possibly can. My oven is definitely ready. I have my baking tray and parchment paper ready over here because that is then going to be the next step, is to individually spread them out on the baking dish. All right, so let me take my bracelet off. And then this is where we get messy. Mix it, coat it well. You know, with cauliflower, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies. And so if you want to be a perfectionist, which I'm guilty of, from time to time, you know, you can get all the way in there. So this is a recipe where we're going to pop it in the oven for 10 minutes. We're going to flip it. We're going to pop it back in for another 10 minutes. So 20 minutes. Basically, your cauliflower will bake in the oven before we add the sauce. And while the cauliflower is in the oven, we will prepare our buffalo sauce or whatever sauce you decided to use. So I'm coating it pretty well. That looks good. Doesn't take long. I know, Michelle, you're the only one kind of moving along with me right now. Are you at this stage too? We good? And if you're not, that's okay. I'll keep moving. I'm trying to be mindful of the time. We try not to go past 12:30. All right. So that's coated well. My fingers are still messy. I'm going to keep them messy. And I'm just going to start placing them on the tray. Now let's actually move this over. You can see the tray, parchment paper.
Okay, and I just want to share with you while you're doing that. So I am a little behind, but that is because, and I'm not going to make the buffalo sauce, so I won't be behind with that. I used real onion in place of the onion powder. So you can substitute real onion for onion powder. So I just got done blending, as you suggested, putting it in the blender so that the real onion would blend in. So just putting that out there for people. If you run into something like I did, or you end up not having like onion powder or garlic powder, for example, like you were talking about using real garlic. So just putting that out there for folks.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the fresher the ingredients you can use and those modifications and tweaks you can use, the better. That sounds delicious. Fresh onion. You could even like caramelize some onions, especially if you're doing maybe more like a barbecue or like Asian flavored sauce, like caramelized onions and peppers, and would be really good and be more of like a creamy cauliflower. This, you know, versus kind of a crispy, but that is another like, you know, tweak you could do. I encourage creativity. I encourage really listening, following your intuition, adding things, you know, flavors and spices that you like. I've never been one to follow a recipe to the T. I just haven't. So that's good. I'm gonna wash my hands because they're messy. And then we're gonna get this in the oven. And on the recipe, it does say to bake for 20 minutes. And there's a note about flipping halfway through. And it might be a little confusing. Apologize if it is, but this is why we have the class and I'm walking you through it. You don't have to set your timer for 20 minutes. You can set your timer for 10 minutes. Take it out, flip, put it back in, set it for another 10 minutes. So I'm going to move you guys over here so you can, because we are now going to start the sauce next. Bottom wrap, my suggestion, set that for 10 minutes. All right. Okay. I still have a little bit on my hand. Let me rinse that out. Okay. And
I'm curious if anyone here is growing cauliflower or has grown onions and garlic that they could use in this recipe, or celery and cilantro, which is also an addition. I know mom and dad aren't. They had some issues with their deck, unfortunately, and the neighbor's tree falling on it.
awesome. Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, I'm growing garlic, so
Growing garlic. Nice.
oh, Jade wrote something. Do you want to check that out, Kelly?
Yeah,
I've got
I like to wing it too. I recently moved here and didn't have time to start a garden, but plan to next spring. Awesome. yeah, we'll stay plugged in with, you know, this initiative here because Michelle can speak to this more, but there's a plant giveaways, seed giveaways, and just to help you kind of get set up for starting your own garden. A lot of places, but of course, you know, Minneapolis Edible Boulevards is great for supporting people in starter gardens. So it's great that you're plugged in here. Okay, do I need anything else over here? I'm gonna move my seasonings over here. We're getting ready for the sauce. I have my little skillet.
Jade, I'm not exactly sure what all you wrote, but in the spring, there are plant giveaways. So come May, there will be some different neighborhood giveaways. So keep an eye on the Minneapolis Edible Boulevard's Facebook page, and you'll see some of those different things.
So I wanted to rinse my whisk because we are going to use that again for the sauce. Anything else over here that I need? I don't think so. Okay, so the next step is our buffalo sauce. And we are going to first put a half a cup of water in the skillet. Here is my camera. Let me toggling back and forth. I'm going to adjust this so you can see. And I'm using my smaller, so half a cup of water, I already have ready and prepared. I'm gonna put that in there. And then it's a quarter cup distilled vinegar. I have just an organic distilled vinegar. I don't use vinegar too much. It is more on the acid side of chemistry, but again, everything in moderation. So I got my vinegar. And then it is 3 tablespoons of the tomato paste if you're using that. But we'll go ahead, let's actually add our seasonings first. So 1 teaspoon paprika. We're using paprika again. Open that up. 1 teaspoon. And if you're using like an already made sauce, like a barbecue sauce or maybe a Korean barbecue or hoisin, I love Asian flavors. That's why I'm mentioning it right now. Or maybe like a Cajun or a Creole sauce. You could use that instead. You could, whether it's thick or powdered baked, you could put that in here with the water and the vinegar. Okay. So we have the 1 teaspoon paprika and using garlic powder again. 1 teaspoon garlic. And then we have a 1/4 teaspoon cayenne, just like earlier. And if you like more spice, I would do a 1/2 teaspoon versus a 1/4 teaspoon. And then we have salt again, and salt is a 1/2 teaspoon. I grab that. My mineral salt. And then after the salt, it's 3 tablespoons of tomato paste or another sauce, of course. So I have, you know, I do have an organic tomato paste I got from the co-op yesterday. But if you don't like canned, and we've used canned sometimes in recipes here with Minneapolis Edible Boulevards, and again, there can be controversy on using cans. You can use fresh tomatoes. You can get a bunch of tomatoes, you can blend it up. It'll maybe not be as thick. Maybe you want to add like a thickening agent, starch or agar-agar. It's kind of a natural. There's another one I've used for a thickening agent. It's actually, it's agar-agar. It might be agar-agar. It's up there. I'm trying to remember what it is. But you could make your own fresher paste. So 1 tablespoon times 3. I'm actually going to grab a knife so I can get it out more. I got about 4 minutes on the timer before I'm gonna flip this. Oh, and we want to obviously turn on the skillet to about a medium heat so things start warming up.
And I did find my tomato paste in a jar.
Oh, good. Yes, I have seen that at the co-op before. You know, I might have overlooked that yesterday, and that is better. That is absolutely much better than from a can. And again, this is why I am a component of an advocate for detoxification, because we are exposed to heavy metals in so many ways. And you know, this is another exposure. Let's just be real. Okay, so that's done. That's warming up. Got my whisk ready. And so, any questions so far, or at this point, any questions? The other thing that you'll want to have is a little brush. So once we're gonna put the cauliflower back in for another 10 minutes, and then that's looking good. That's actually looking real good. Before we flip it, and then we'll brush the sauce generously over the cauliflower. And that process is, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. I kind of been playing with this recipe a little bit. The longer you leave it in, the more on like the 15-minute side on each side. The more, actually, yes, I did this yesterday too with my kids. We ate this. And so we did 10 minutes each side. But all in all, this recipe, without like, you know, it's taking a little bit longer because I'm walking and I'm walking you guys through it and I'm talking. Shouldn't take you more than, you know, an hour tops, probably less than that. All right, so this is starting to warm up. I'm gonna slide you guys over. See here. And I'll just start to whisk it. And it stays kind of thick. Again, if you like a thicker sauce, you can add a thickening agent of your choice.
Come on.
All right, that's heating up good. And once it's all the way heated and mixed well, we're just gonna, you know, remove it from the burner and let it sit. And that feels like it's pretty good consistency and thoroughly mixed together. And the heat obviously is just a great way to just, you know, absorb and mix the flavors together. Liquefy the paste. If you're not using a paste, that also means that you don't necessarily have to use a skillet. You can mix, you know, your liquid sauce and some dry seasonings if you'd like, just in a mixing bowl and mix it together. And not use a heat. Okay, so there's the timer. We're gonna do the flip. Oh, turn that off. I'm gonna remove this from skillet, and then we're gonna get our cauliflower out. And take a look. Okay, so that's looking good. I feel good about how that looks. You guys see, it's nice golden brown. It'll change once you put the sauce on a little bit, but this is a nice first layer. So I'm gonna use your tongs and we're gonna flip. We're gonna flip it over. I don't, one of the things I do as a chef, you know, don't do this at home if it's not always wise, as I do use my fingers when I flip. I have a high heat tolerance. So I use a combo of my fingers in the tongs just because it goes faster. And once you flip it, you should see some browning on this other side. So give it a quick flip. And also, so when we're all the way done, too, on the recipe, you'll notice that it said, you know, typically with buffalo flavor, people like ranch dip. You can use any dip of your choice. I have a plant-based ranch dip that I got from the co-op that I'll get from time to time. But on the recipe, you'll notice also that there is a link to making your own ranch dip, which actually is pretty easy. You can make it with cashews. I love cashew-based sauces. Those are typically my favorite for a non-dairy sauce. Like that there. So as you can hopefully see, that there is some browning action that has happened on this other side. Let me try to get the same effect on this flip side. And we should be good to go. I will set the timer for another 10 minutes. All right, that's good enough. All right, I'm gonna put this back in. 10 minutes. Rinse my hands quick again. All right, so we got 10 minutes where we're just going to wait. But what I will share is, yeah, so on the recipe, like I mentioned, there's this link to this other, to making your own plant-based sauce. I know some of you are just kind of listening, tuning in. And so that recipe, it's a cashew ranch dip, vegan and gluten-free. Since we're sticking with the gluten-free with this recipe as well. You just soak your cashews overnight. 1 cup of cashews, soak them overnight. That softens them to a really nice consistency that they blend really, really well. If you are short on time, you can just soak them in hot water for about an hour. That also will soften them up. And then you just add lemon juice. You can add, some tablespoons of raw or unfiltered apple cider vinegar. Now with the vinegar, that just makes that tangy flavor. That's why that's here. You can omit the vinegar if you don't want that, if you don't use that in your diet. And then you add water, and then you just 3 to 7 tablespoons of the water, the more or more if you desire more like a thinner dip. So the less water, the less liquids that you use, the thicker the dip will be. Garlic powder, here's a place too where you could just use some fresh garlic and put in the ranch dip. That would be delicious. You can use a tablespoon of fresh dill leaves or dried dill leaves. And now dill, I love fresh dill. Did anyone do like herbs in their garden this year? Do any dill? I did a little bit with basil.
I
Some rose
did.
yeah. It's so good. So fresh dill in a ranch dip is delicious. And then dried onion, you can even just mince fresh onion, parsley, fresh parsley would be good, or dried parsley in the ranch dip. Chives would also is in this recipe, and black pepper, and then sea salt to taste. So pretty straightforward, really flavorful. So I encourage, if you like ranch sauce and you've never made your own ranch sauce dip before, I encourage you to give that a try and get playful with the ingredients and what dry versus fresh ingredients. You can add like a little bit smoky flavor and add some paprika, or you can add a little spice. There's so many ways to do a ranch. I've even had like a kind of a more of a dill pickly flavor. People put a little pickled juice in the ranch dip along with like the fresh chopped dill. That could also be super tasty. Another thing to consider. And yeah, there's that. The other thing that that I do have on the recipe that I want to make note of is celery and cilantro. And that's just kind of for, condiment like on the side or sprinkled on top. Um, for celery or for cilantro, I love cilantro. Now, this is kind of a nice kind of contrary or polarity of flavors because you have the spice if you're using buffalo, and which is warming to the body. Cayenne is excellent. So we use cayenne in this recipe for spice. Cayenne is actually very on the alkaline side of chemistry. And so you think about it like it's hot, it builds heat in the body, warming to the body, but it actually, once it goes into the system, it cools. So it's on more alkaline, leaves more of an alkaline cooling ash through our system. So cayenne is just excellent in general. Super good for the immune system and for the blood as well. Cilantro is also cooling, and you would think it's cooling because it tastes like it's cooling versus the heat like the cayenne pepper. Cilantro is also great for heavy metal cleansing. I really love this herb for heavy metal cleansing. If I'm doing like a heavy metal detox, which we get through the air, the water, the soil, canned foods, just in exposure to different environmental toxins. It's important to do heavy metal cleansings, and you can put a bunch of cilantro in a smoothie. Some people will juice cilantro, or if you're making like a green juice, put cilantro in it. It's also great to lower blood pressure. It's excellent for the heart. It's got anxiety effects as well, and just antibacterial. So again, parasite cleansing. I'm also a big advocate of doing the parasite cleanse several times a year. If you have a pulse, you have a parasite. A lot of people, get kind of creeped out by hearing that they might have parasites, but we live on planet Earth. We're exposed to a lot of different things. Parasites do serve a purpose, on the planet to kind of clean up the waste and help things decompose. But when there's an overgrowth and an overabundance of parasites, it can actually cause harm in our body. It can cause a lot of dysregulation of our glands and organs and our nervous system. So it's important, again, to find, when we're looking to find balance and homeostasis within our body, we definitely want to be looking at doing parasite and heavy metal detoxifications at least 3 to 4 times a year. Just like we, get an oil change with our cars every few hundred miles or so. I don't know what it is. I have a little sticker that reminds me. But, we're changing our oil, several times a year in our car. We should also be doing just kind of the same type of practice for our body several times a year to kind of clean and flush out. It's just great lifestyle balance maintenance, in my humble opinion. And then celery is another, great thing that, people like to dip celery in ranch dip. And typically when someone served like buffalo wings or buffalo flavor, again, kind of bringing in a cooling agent, celery can be really good. So I did get some celery to add into this recipe just for on the side. Celery, like I said, is really cleansing. It's great for the liver. A lot of people don't really think about that. It's great for the liver, which is a detoxification organ. So it's a detox, remedy, great for gout. So really helping reduce inflammation, and similar to cilantro, it also helps to regulate the blood sugar levels. So I love celery. Has anyone ever grown celery in their garden? I feel like that's not as a common of vegetable that's grown, but it does grow here. I've known people to grow celery. Michelle, have you done that one before?
I grew pink celery, but it did not taste very good.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was me, or maybe pink celery has a different taste, but I've never tasted it before.
Okay.
Anyone else?
No, okay. Yeah, it also helps lower cholesterol. If you have high cholesterol, celery is great. I mean, similar to like that falls also in line with just regulating blood pressure, blood sugar levels, cooling the body down, reducing inflammation. You're going to see a lower decrease in cholesterol levels too. So celery is great. So okay, got 1 more minute before we get ready to brush this sauce on, and go through that process. Did you have a comment, Michelle? Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, about my cauliflower, but Jade says I've regrown celery in a cup of water from a mostly used stock. That's cool.
That is
Very
cool.
cool.
I feel like I've heard before that you can do that. I've never experimented with that.
Yeah, when you chop it down, you just leave the base intact and you can just drop it in water and it will regrow.
Okay,
Very
noted.
cool.
I love that.
Okay, so I had an issue with my cauliflower. So I don't know. I thought I put the right amount of milk in.
Of
But
course.
yeah. And so, but it appears that it was too, I don't know, too runny or something. It's like then when I turned it over, like it's all, you know, it it like came off.
Came
So
up. Okay.
like the batter, the batter came off. So like the batter is really all over the parchment.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't thick at all.
I mean, it was kind of thick, but I
Okay.
mean, when I put it on the parchment, it wasn't all spread out. But now when I take it out of the oven, the batter is all spread out. So anyway, I'm not sure if I should like uh try and like redo the bottom, like redo this top part now in what is on the batter. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I would redo the batter. I would try to create a thicker, um, if you can savor any of what's on the tray or even create a new batter, with more of the flour, then I would do that. Yeah, I'm sorry that that happened. That's unfortunate. Um, I I've just used, did I use almond flour before? I think my go-to has always been chickpea. I'm just a big fan of chickpea flour. So I wonder if it was the almond flour or the particular kind you use, but maybe just needed a little bit more. So here I'm gonna start this next step while you're figuring that out, Michelle, and kind of can
Yep,
talk you
yep,
through.
that's fine.
But yeah, so this is golden brown. They're, somewhat crispy. They look good. At a place that I like. And so the next step is now to put the sauce on. I'm going to get that ready. Oops, stop that. Oops. A second. All right. So I have my sauce, and this is a pretty thick enough for me. And I have my brush. You can use this is like a natural bristle brush. Some people like to use silicone. I am just going to be a artist and start to paint, cover one side of the cauliflower with this sauce. Any part of the cauliflower that's exposed on this top side, just try to cover with the sauce. And then we're gonna put it back in for 5 minutes, and then we'll flip it, and then we're gonna put it back in for 10 minutes. Okay, so we should be done about 12:30. We can time this right, and I don't move as slow brushing this on. And a nice generous amount of stuff. I am going to set the timer for 5 minutes, then I'm gonna flip it, and then brush the remaining of the sauce. This seems to be a perfect amount of sauce for the other half, the other side, I should say. So yeah, we're gonna then just reuse the remaining of the sauce to coat the other side and then set the timer for 10 minutes after that. So that is the plan. Okay. Any comments, questions, thoughts? Oh, let me check the chat. Yes, I hope you have a window open by now, Michelle. I'm glad that looked delicious. They are really good. Kid approved too. My kids are definitely used to eating a lot of vegetables. We're plant-based over here at my house. At their dad's house, they're vegetarian, so they have dairy over there. But so it's always, they enjoy what I make, but sometimes I have to get real creative with, making it taste and the way that they want. When I'm not using real cheese or it's really the cheese. Cheese is so addictive, so and tastes delicious. It does taste good. And so I like to try to experiment with different like plant-based cheeses and whether I'm making my own or trying some from different companies. So yeah, my kids did really enjoy this recipe and the plant-based ranch dip that I got. And speaking of that, let me just show you the one that I got. I got my cilantro ready, my plate. I already cut up my celery. So I'm gonna put my ranch dip here. I'm gonna do that now. And then I'll put the cauliflower here and I'll sprinkle it with some cilantro. And that's how we'll do it. So I just bought mine, sake of time. I didn't have time to make my own vegan ranch dip last night, this week. Again, I encourage you to do that because it's gonna be healthier and it definitely will taste better. This one is pretty good. This is just, I got it from the co-op. I shopped at Eastside Co-op yesterday, which is in Northeast Minneapolis. I'm a member at the Wedge. I'm a member also at Mississippi Market, which is in St. Paul. But they had this one here. It's Organicville. And it's interesting because sometimes you will find plant-based sauces or dressings, dips that have eggs in it. And I'm always a little frustrated by that because I guess people think that eggs are not dairy. Sure, they're not from a cow. But I still put it in the dairy category in my mind, and I know others that kind of think that same way, but not everyone does. And so I'm like, well, it's plant-based. Why is it plant-based, but there's eggs in there, So I was grabbing one and it said plant-based, but one thing that's always important, and I am a big advocate of this, encourage it to everyone, to read the labels, read the back of the labels. The shorter the ingredient list, the better. The longer the ingredient lists, the more weary you should be, especially when it comes to things that you actually can't even pronounce. So you got to always look at the back of the bottle to really double check when it comes to plant-based. And not all plant-based companies and ingredients are healthy. A lot of them are processed. A lot of them are just like a bunch of chemicals too. So just because it's plant-based does not mean it's healthy. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're purchasing plant-based companies. There's cleaner companies, more conscious companies than others. So this ingredient list was pretty straightforward. I can pronounce everything that's in here. It does contain coconuts. It does have some oils, a little bit of vinegar, but lemon juice, parsley, pepper, garlic, salt, of course, green onion. So this is the one I got, non-GMO, non-dairy ranch, and it's organic. So when I'm looking to support companies, I feel better about supporting companies that do have the non-GMO label, that are organic. And I can read what you have in here. So this is the one I used. And I'm just gonna pour it into this little dish that I have. And I did hear the timer. So I'm then gonna take the cauliflower out and flip them, coat the other side, and then put it in for another 10 minutes. And then I think we'll be done right at 12:30. Trying to meet my goal. All right, so I just have this ready, queued up for that final stage of this recipe. And this is what they look like as of now. I feel good about that. We're gonna flip it over. And this can always take a little bit of a minute here. We'll get a little bit closer. I will try not to burn myself. So I'm doing a flip. And when I do the flip, you're gonna see some browning. It shouldn't be burnt, but because you might see a little more of a black, but it's not burnt in my opinion. You do want to try to get it crispy. So like this one, for example, I don't know if you can see that well, does have kind of a little coat of crispiness on there from the flour. Flip that back over. But the thing about baking, even if you're using like an air fryer, but more so if you're baking, you don't want to expect that you're gonna have like a super crispy cauliflower. I haven't perfected that recipe or found that recipe to taste like super, super crispy. You really want that really, really crispy texture. You're gonna achieve that more so by frying, by deep frying, or using an air fryer. But in my opinion, baking is healthier. Okay, the less oil you're using, and this is an oil-free recipe. The less oil you use, the healthier it's going to be. And it's nice to just get your taste buds and your body, used to baking something that maybe you typically would fry. It's just a texture difference. The flavors are still going to be delicious. That's my experience anyway. So I've gotten more used to baking. I've never been a big fryer anyway, but that does not mean I don't love me some like fried cauliflower wings or fried mushrooms or French fries, so just depends. I don't eat the fried stuff a lot. All right, so I am doing my second coat. Okay. New favorites, everything sauce. I think it would be great. Ooh, if you have a link to that and wouldn't mind sharing it. I love sauce. It's all about the sauce. It's all about the spices. That really just makes a recipe. This is why for me it's been easy to be plant-based because it's just about flavor. You can make anything taste delicious. It doesn't need to be on meat. It's just the sauce, it's the spices, and obviously the love and the energy that goes into what you're creating too. That also makes a difference. Okay. Okay. I'm just reading that other one. Oh, yay. Great. Everything sauce. Okay. Let me just click that and open that up so I can come back to it. Oh. Is it the bitchin sauce? The bee sauce? Yeah. So we have actually used that before at my house. My daughters like it. My 9-year-old likes it more. All right. So I'm doing this last coat. I'm gonna just put this here. And this, this feels like, honestly, to me, like a meditative process. And that's how I like to approach my cooking, just with intentionality, with mindfulness, you know, putting prayers and positive thoughts into the food, you know, really wanting it to taste delicious, wanting it to nourish our body, our minds, our spirits. So when I cook, I just also, you know, carry this sense of gratitude for the plant, for what it provides, for the soil it grew in, the land, the farmer. Thank you for growing this for us to enjoy. I did grow cauliflower one year in my garden. I didn't do it this year. All right, so this pretty much used up the rest of the sauce. So that's perfect. Great. That's what it looks like. Set that off to the side. Grab my oven mitt, let me not burn myself, and I'm ready for this final bake. Set the timer, it's 10 minutes, and we're good. So let's see. Comments. Got their special sauce, they're a little funky, but wanted to try the garlic one too. They might still be on sale. Different than the original kind of. Okay. You know, I was at Costco the other week. Was it Costco? I think it was Costco, and they had a sample because we like the bee sauce over here. Well, me and my youngest, and they had like a variety pack. It was like 3 of them. And I thought there was the original, and then there is this dill pickle one. Now let me tell you, yes, it's good. If you like dill, we've been talking about dill a little bit. I thought it was really good. So this dill pickle, if you're not familiar with beet, well, I think you are, Jade, and your parents left Michelle. It's, you know, almond based. And then yeah, here's the original. There's another one though. I thought we finished it. That one was even better. Yeah. Yeah, we ate that one up. Was it Chipotle or something like that? Might have been Chipotle, but it was good. All right, how we doing, Michelle? You getting some fresh air after being smoked out by the oven?
Yeah, I got the smoldering pot holder put out. I got the doors open, the windows open, the fan on, so everything's good. Thank you. And I wanted to share my favorite bitchin' sauce is the caramel sauce. Whole Foods sometimes will get it. Oh my gosh, it is totally to die for. And they'll usually have it in like a separate autumn section. But like if you go to Whole Foods or the co-op or something, request it. The wedge will sometimes get in the apple pie one, which is good, but it's nothing compared to the caramel one. So anyway, just putting that out there.
I have never heard of that. Is it in the refrigerated section?
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah.
I
But like I said,
You know.
the caramel one, Whole Foods usually puts it in like a separate, you know, here are all the like tastes of autumn, pumpkin and caramel and that kind of thing. But
Okay.
all vegan.
Okay, this is good to know. I will definitely have to try that. That sounds delicious. That sounds really delicious.
Yes.
Be like this time of year. When we all want warm caramely sauces, apple cider, caramel apple season. Yeah. And a pumpkin one. That sounds good. I didn't realize they did other flavors like
Oh yeah.
that expansive, that company. Huh.
Yes, you're right. The pumpkin one is to die for too.
What do you like to use the pumpkin one on? Or what do you dip? What do you dip in it? Like apples or?
Well, I could eat it by the spoonful. I don't know about Jade.
I haven't seen it or tried it yet. I just saw it when I went to their website to grab the link for the garlic sauce, but I think it'd be really good with Honeycrisp apples, is what I'm
Mhm.
thinking. Also
Yeah.
the caramel, like that would be amazing.
Mm,
Yes,
Mhm.
apples are really, really good with both of them.
Okay, yeah, I bet. I did get some apples the other day, and I actually found a sauce at Costco. I have a couple sauces. I have a friend that hit me to a sauce that's really yummy. I'll bring it out, and then this other sauce I found that I have been dipping apples into. So I recently was someone told me about this sunflower butter. It's a maple turmeric. You can get it at the Wedge. That's really yummy with apples. I've been enjoying that, but I got really excited about this one. This is a pistachio cream.
Yeah, I saw that. That does look really good. You've been dipping apples in that too?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I was tempted. I might have to go back and get it. You got it at Costco?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
never
where I saw
seen it
it.
there before. Yeah. And it's
Ugh.
like vegan, gluten-free, soy, palm oil free, grain-free. Like, again, like I'm always looking at the back of labels, and it's like just Turkish pistachios, non-GMO, unrefined sugar, cocoa butter, sunflower oil, sunflower lecithin, and salt.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna have to go back for it.
I definitely recommend it. You should do that.
How else have you been using it, or just for
That-
apples?
Just apples so far. Like I just got it like last week or maybe it was the week before, and I was like, you can put it on toast or waffles. I don't do a lot of toast. We do pancakes here. Actually, that's a recommendation. That would be really good too.
Mhm.
Drizzle in ice cream or yogurt. It says make viral desserts, You could put it in your overnight oats or smoothies. That might be good. Mix with
Yeah, I was
coffee or
thinking
make
oatmeal.
pistachio latte.
Oh yeah, that would be really good. I
That'd
had
be
a
really good.
pistachio latte at a coffee shop. I don't remember the name of it, but it was really good, and that would be, I think, excellent.
Yeah, I thought so. Or just like scoop it. It says scoop it and indulge, no judgment. And you could do that. It's that good. So
I think you might have to pick an extra one up for me
I will.
since
I'll- I'll-
I'm not a Costco member. So
Okay.
I'll
I would be happy
reimburse you
to.
happily.
Oh, I'd be happy to grab one for you. I have to go there and get coconut water this weekend. So I'll
The
grab.
coconut water.
Yes, I love coconut water, cold press, for the refrigerated section is the
Mhm.
ideal stuff. Like Harmless Harvest, that's my favorite coconut water.
Yeah.
You get it, but it's not cheap. I think it's kind of expensive. And like if you can get it like the same thing, pretty much Whole Foods or Costco. And Costco actually used to have a partnership, with Harmless Harvest, and they had them in the 6 packs. But I don't know what happened. They don't anymore. And so, but they do have another line, and I'm out of it. And I think my bottles are I took the recycling out this morning. Um, but yeah, in the refrigerated section, you can still find a 6 pack of the cold pressed coconut water that's, pink, like the Harmless Harvest. Tastes the same.
Yeah, it looks exactly the same. Also, Trader Joe's has the pink refrigerated young cold press in smaller bottles, which can be nice too sometimes.
Yeah, true. I've gotten it from there too. It is really, really tasty. Okay, let me take a look. That's looking good. Got 3 more minutes. It's 12:31. If you got to jump off, that's okay. Last thing I'm gonna do is take it out of the oven. I'm gonna put it on this plate that I already have, ready with the celery, the dip. I have my cilantro ready, and I didn't chop up the cilantro. I like cilantro. I'm just you could chop it up. It maybe look prettier, and that's more typical, but chop it or not and just sprinkle it on the top. And then I'll take a picture and I'll share it on our Facebook page. That's typically what we ask people to do is when you do make it, Michelle, I know you're gonna have a take 2. And I hope that it looks okay next time, but you guys will see mine in there, shortly after we wrap up here. And
Yeah,
it should
I will
be.
definitely I will definitely be posting a picture of it. So if anyone else makes it, please post a picture where we have our photos too. And maybe we can just do some announcements while we're waiting for that to get done.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to clarify. So what I missed was you essentially did the same thing, but only with the sauce on it, right? So you put everything with the sauce and then just did a few minutes on each side.
Yeah, yeah. I did the first side. After I brushed the sauce on, I did 5 minutes, and then I flipped it, and then I did 10 minutes. Now
Oh.
you could 10 and 10 minutes, but for time's sake, and I did it this way before, and it was fine. You could do 10 and 10. You could do 15 and 15. It would just take a little bit longer if you want it a little bit more crispy. For whatever reason, there are little kind of like more darker brown spots on the flour, so it doesn't look just like the picture, but you know, there's like a texture, there's a crispiness on parts of it. So I would just experiment with like the duration of time that you leave it in the oven, but flip it. I wouldn't leave it in there for more than 15 minutes on both sides. It might burn depending on how saucy it is. But yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, so I just wanted to share a couple things that we have. Our next cooking class will be the second Saturday of November, and that's with Derek Nicholas. And Derek also has been with us for a while. He works at the Division of Indian Work and also has Wissanig is his own business. He just sent me the recipe and grocery list, and so I will let you know what we are going to be making with him when I send out the email to you after this class. But I highly recommend joining because he always has great stories to share. It's another cook along class. And I also wanted to share about Derek. So we don't have the funding yet, but I am really hoping, and I'm letting Kelly know this too, because I'm hoping Kelly will teach another class with us next year, that next year, I'm hoping that we will have funding to do some themed cooking classes, sharing and highlighting one of the so-called weeds in our garden. So kind of like a, you know, foraging kind of theme. And so, um, things like lamb's quarters or purslane, those kinds of things that people generally do not think about when they are thinking about food, because we have all this food right outside our doors that we can have for free that have a lot of nutrition. So just, at least incorporating one of those kinds of plant relatives into the recipe is what I'll be asking our instructors to do. And Derek has agreed to do a couple classes with us and taking us out to a park. We can't do Minneapolis because Minneapolis does not allow foraging, unfortunately. Contact your park board commissioner about that. And but we're going to be doing those classes, given that we hopefully will get the funding for it. And I'm super excited about that. We'll do one in the spring, one in the fall, so people can learn those skills on how to forage and to get free food in addition to growing. So just want, you all are the first to learn about that. And I'll keep you posted on whether we get the funding, but just wanted to share that. And then December is with Linda Black Elk, and that will be at the Seward Co-op, the Friendship Store on 38th. So those are the announcements that I have. And Kelly, do you have any events coming up?
Let's see. I do in November, I will have some events coming up. I do a series, a monthly event called Soulful Synergy Sessions that are a wellness series. And the retreat that I had at the end of August was the Soulful Synergy Wellness Retreat. And so that is very wellness centered. We highlight a different practitioner each month. and, you know, bring a modality, you experience a modality, you're guided through a practice, and that's in partnership with a couple other local healers here, and I do that. And then I'm also going to be partnering with a couple other artists and healers in community called the Vibe Temple, and that'll be starting on the first Sunday of every month, starting in November at the Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, and that'll be a very immersive sound experience. Sound healings and breath works and movements. So a beautiful practice, and I'll share more about that. Michelle, I'll make sure I share that with you, and on my website, you'll see it, and on my Facebook page. So yeah, I'm always hosting events. I love hosting events and collaborating with different artists. harmoniousworld.org. That is actually where you'll find my events. And those upcoming ones aren't posted on there yet, but they will be. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they want to share that's coming up? And I do want to give a huge shout out to the Eastside Food Co-op for sponsoring our class today. So thank you, Eastside. You are a great partner. We are very grateful for you. So how are we doing, Kelly? Are we getting close?
We're done. Yep. So here is the final dish. We got the cauliflower. I sprinkled cilantro on top. I kind of use my fingers to break it a little bit more. Again, you can chop it finely. You got the celery, the ranch dip. I put some cilantro in that as well. So I hope you guys can see that okay. But yeah,
Delicious.
it's looking good. I will take a picture of it. Probably be a little bit better clarity, and I'll post it on the page. And when you do make it, please do the same. And it's been a pleasure sharing and cooking and connecting with you all. So thanks again for having me, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Kelly. It's always a pleasure to have you. And
Yeah.
thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you if we had any people out on Facebook for watching. Thank you for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Hey, bye, Jade. Take care.
Bye.